Hey, what's up guys? It's me, James from James Jet Pals, and lately I've been having a lot of questions about my rats, so I'm just going to kind of go over everything about them and why I got into the project and what my plans are for the project. There was no real plan for the project. I was breeding mice, and we had a reptile show, a local reptile show in San Francisco at Cow Palace, and there were these hairless rats there. And my buddy said, hey, you get one, I'll get one, we'll get a pair, we'll breed hairless rats, and we'll make a little bit of money in a couple months instead of waiting a while for our geckos and whatnot. And I said, you know what, that sounds great. They were 15 bucks a piece. I bought a girl, he bought a boy. We stopped at a local reptile store called East Bay Vivarium. Great place. I've known a couple people who've worked there. I've worked with those people throughout whatever. I know them, they've moved away, I still keep in touch. Great people, great place. Anyway, we stopped there on the way back, and they happened to have some as well. Little to my knowledge, they had double Rex, and the one that I got was hairless. So, fast forward, I bought two. They were like 10 bucks there, or maybe it was the other way, 10, and then I don't remember exactly. It was like 30, 35 bucks, whatever. And so I had this trio of rats, and my buddy had his, and he had two Russian Greys or Russian Blues or something like that. And he was kind of bummed. He's like, oh, you told me we were going to breed them, now we can't. And I was like, whatever, it's fine, I'll give you some female babies and it'll be fine. And by the time I got some, as I predicted, he didn't want them. He barely wanted the rats that he had. He kind of like, oh, they're there. They're rats. They're there. And anyway, I had them. I had my first litter. They each laid a litter, and some had hair. And that really confused me. And some of them had a little bit of hair, and some of them were super bald. And I wasn't super familiar with rat genetics, but I had the receptionist at my work actually bred rats in the past, all sorts of strains and stuff. So she told me, she gave me a lowdown. What had happened is the rat I bought at the show was a true hairless rat. Later, I found out they ended up having a lot of problems, a lot of hairless rats do. And the two I bought from the reptile store were double Rex rats. So the male double Rex with the other female double Rex, 100% hairless. And the double Rex to the hairless produced, well, it was weird. She might have had a Rex gene in her also, because roughly, you can't tell which babies are from which mom, but roughly 3/4 were double Rex and 1/4 was Rex. Now, 66% of those double Rex are just double Rex, and the other 33% were hairless, because the mom was hairless, was true hairless, and a visual recessive to a normal creates 100% hets. So the Rexes and the double Rexes from her clutch were all hairless. That gets confusing. I didn't really know at the time. I was just selling them as pets. I even used some as feeders. I didn't even notice a difference in my snake's poop. A lot of people said I would. I just had them, and if people weren't buying them, it's free. I had to obviously set them up and stuff. But I feel like breeding them saved money actually. And I already had mouse food, I already had water bottles, I just needed water bottle holders and something to put their food in. And I'd probably pay 20 bucks for that stuff. And I was giving them all sorts of millet, and same with my mice, I was giving them tons of millet. And eventually the hairless rat, this single female, started to have all sorts of neurological issues and a cyst on her chest. I forget what the term was, but it was where her milk sac filled up and it could not release until she started nursing again. Eventually, she ended up popping on her own. I gave that rat to my sister. She's got about 3 or 4 rats she rescues from snake breeders and keepers who their snake won't eat, and they buy a live rat and they don't know what to do with it. She's got a mouse that I gave her. She thought it was cute. And it's doing a lot better in her care. Being housed singly, it's doing wonders for that animal. The 2 double Rex rats, the 2 adults, I eventually euthanized the male and used him as snake food. The female was raising up her last litter, and that's all I wanted, and I was like, that's it, I can't do any more. no one in my area is buying them. I sold all the people that actually wanted them or cared, and the rest is gonna be snake food. And at this point, it's not really worth it for me to keep breeding them. Financially, yes. Time-wise, not really. Checking on them and cleaning them and the way they smelled. Not that they smelled much worse than the animals in my room, but you would have to clean often if you didn't want it to get bad. And so I had that last litter, and they were getting old enough to be separated from the mom. And I started to notice the mom was looking real pregnant, real girthy around the lower stomach. I was like, that's it. I can't let her have more. I euthanized her. And I had all these baby rats still. And some of them were euthanized, and there's going to be small snake food when I get to that point with whatever snake gets to that point. And I have 5 more that are being raised up. And when 5 gets too big for this tank, which a lot of people argue it is, but you know what, at the end of the day, they're feeder rats, and they're all healthy, they're all doing just fine, they're all males. And at the end of the day, they're my animals, and if they're healthy, they're healthy. You know, I'm not going to worry about that. But when I feel like 5 is too big, I'll probably euthanize 1 or 2 of them, and I'll grow the rest up until those are too big. Until I have I'll probably keep 1, and I'll keep 1 until it gets really big, just to see how big I can get them. And at that point, they're all snake food, and I'm just going to toss this 10 gallons all like scratched up, and the silicone's torn up. And I've used it for crested geckos in the past and all sorts of stuff. But the first litter of rat babies that I had, I was so excited. It was my first litter, and even though I was hatching geckos, there's something I could sell these right away. You know, geckos don't sell super fast. I'm actually waiting to post. I'm not even going to post any until the Sacramento Reptile Show, where I will be vending with Armando or Drymark on Instagram. Very nice guy, absolutely amazing. He was just mentioned on Port City Python's podcast with the guy who owns Evergreen State Reptiles, I believe, is his company. They were talking about him, and I actually work with him. He's a really good friend of mine, actually. I took him to my house after work. We stopped, got ice cream. I took him here. His daughter picked him up from here. He just had a car accident. Awesome guy. Go check him out on Instagram. He raises all sorts of cool snakes. I was like, why did I bring him up? Anyway, because I'm vending with him. So I have all these rats, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to sell some. And I did. I was selling them for $10 a piece, which from what I heard was cheap for what they were, but I wasn't really in it for the money. I was like, oh, you know, a little bit of income. I can put it back into the rats, and it just makes it worth it. And there were like 3 or 4 that I really liked. And I realized Dumbo was mixed in the mix too somewhere. I don't know from which parent. It had to be the hairless, the true hairless, because some single Rex babies were throwing in some Dumbo ears, and some double Rex were throwing in Dumbo ears. So it was a whole mix of genes. I wasn't sure what was going on for a while, but I had a couple cute ones. There was one girl I wanted to keep, but the rest I wanted to keep were boys, so I couldn't really do that. So I forget if I gave her away or should it be in snake food. I forget. But I had like 3 or 4 boys, and they all had names. I was getting real emotional because I had guinea pigs a couple of years ago, and those 2 guinea pigs I had were my favorite. And even one of the guinea pigs was hairless. And I was teaching them songs, and I was cuddling with them, and I was taking them to like family events with me. And then eventually I got bored of them, and I was like, you know what, these are just rats, they're snake food. I really started to realize how much work rats were to take care of. And eventually I'll do it again when I have a rack, when I have a rat rack. Possibly, I might end up possibly not doing that. I might end up just buying stuff. We'll see how it goes. They ended up being snake food, and that's why these are a lot more skittish. The first litter, when I was selling them to people, they were messaging me, they're like, these rats are so tame, I let them out all the time, they're the chillest, they never bite, they get along with all the other rats, they come right up to my hand. I was treating them with Cheerio bits all day, just playing Africa. I was trying to get them familiar with the song Africa just because. And now these rats are a lot more skittish, and I do feel bad when I pick these rats up and they're skittish. And you'll see me in a lot of my videos, if I'm messing with rodents, I'll pick it up by the tail sometimes. And I wouldn't say that's the best thing to do, but at the end of the day, snake food, you do want to treat them as best you can. And I will pick most of them up with my hands, but if I think they're going to bite, or if I know they're just going to run away really fast and get scared and freaked out, I'll just pick them up by the tail, and by the time they're in their hands, they calm down a lot. So that's it for today. Just a little educational video about it talked about rat genetics a little and how I keep them and why I kept them and why I stopped keeping them. And it's just kind of my story with the rats. Now I got 5 males and ball pythons that haven't eaten in 3 weeks. So that's just the way it goes being a snake keeper. I'm James from James' Reptiles. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, smash the like button as my girlfriend says. Check me out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. James' Reptiles. Facebook is like James Welter. It's just my name. I'm not going to change that for now. Hit me up on Gmail, jamesreptiles@gmail.com. I have that Gmail. It's logged in. If you'd like to see more, comment. Make sure you tell people about it. All that fun stuff. And I'll see you guys tomorrow as I do daily content.